to know what's in there, update it, expose whatever is in there. You can prompt it, ask it to add media to it, add stills to it. We use it in that orchestrated way of working to feed context to other agents. It's really an interesting proposition we have now. One of the things we are also doing with it at the moment is just feed it an URL of a website, for example, and it can create out of that news article a full episode of a rundown. So basically take it from a news article to a disaster recovery or breaking news episode. That's one of the things it's capable of doing, and also works very well in the full set of products we made together. Automator is a second agent with it, because Automator is the second part of our product suite, which automates in the end your full gallery. It connects to your vision mixer, to your graphics engine, all that kind of stuff. And this agent is capable of controlling that part. It's a bit similar to what we were showing, what we did in 2024, and basically taking that to the next level. Another automation agent that was also in play was Sophie, but More can tell you more about that part.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that the system we were building was agnostic about the kit that it was integrated with. So the BBC uses Sophie, which is an open source automation system, and we built a Sophie agent. And what the Sophie agent could do was allow the user to use voice and natural language to control the running order, and also to pull information from the running order out. It could answer questions about the running order for the user. Next up, we wanted to make sure it was not just news. So QPilot is a music TV automation system, and the QPilot team developed a QPilot agent. This agent again allowed the user to control the running order through voice and natural language, but also allowed the user to react really quickly in a live situation to change what was happening in the running order, and to pull information out about the program, such as when is my next shot on the flute. The QPilot agent also integrates really nicely with the score sync agent, which is an agent which could intelligently interpret scores and allow the user to mark up scores using voice and natural language.
There's plenty more. Checking agents. So this platform started live at ITN as a smart spell checker for our running orders. It can look at running order data across different systems. We increasingly see it as just a bridge between running order data and LLM queries. So we could expand that to be things like election compliance. Vendors may well ultimately build some of this functionality themselves into their NFCSs, but we think there's real value in us knowing how to do it as well. The TX agent, now this one provides multimodal understanding of the program as we produce it. So it watches the live stream of the program, generates transcript and multimodal understanding of what's happening. That could be useful in and of itself. So for example, we could ask this agent to give us a report on diversity in the program, or different stories we're covering, but it really comes to life in a multi-agent framework, because it means that because the system knows what's happening in the program, we could, for example, say, can I have a clip relevant to what this interview is saying now? So this is kind of a foundation stone of the system.
And as you can see, we've got the logos of our participants that were getting stuck into these agents. Some of them were experimental and kind of existing, and some starting from scratch.
And some indeed were starting from scratch. Sure did a really great agent in the end. You can look at this as basically this is your audio engineer, but then in an agent form. Sorry for the audio guys over there, but you could really ask it, hey, set me up like a processing chain for me in a live event location, and it would make sure that I sound good. I hope I sound good. But you can also apply it like for a studio situation. They also had something like a microphone array that's basically capable of picking out sounds from different parts of the area. You could really say, okay, point me to the left side, or point me to the left or the right side, focus on that part of the conversation. It's basically an audio engineer in an agent form.
And exactly, you can see all of these agents at the pod in Hall 14, yes. And the array mic is installed.
Can I just mention one thing about the array mic? One of the things that's really lovely about this is hardware, right? So we're not just talking about, of course, primarily we're dealing with software systems. Here we're using an agent to interact through a smart GUI into hardware.
So Video Enhancer Agent, this is the first of our pool of new content agents that we wanted to build out. Through voice and natural language with Video Enhancer Agent, the user can tell the agent to change aspect ratio of a clip, so 16:9 to 9:16 or something like that, but also the agent can intelligently track the subject of that clip. And then a range of other video processing effects as well, such as blurring out faces, applying cinematic effects, slow-mo, and de-blurring motion distortion, all through voice and natural language.
Right, it's all coming together. And John.
I love this one. Yeah,
Yes.
it was really cool to get Moments Lab on board as a sort of AI first company who were already doing brilliant things. So they had an agent already in beta that is better than smart search, right? It leverages all of the capabilities already in Moments Lab for rich understanding of content, but allows us to discover that content not just through a search query, but through a prompt to find me something that looks like this,
It's very
works like this program. So again, in and of itself, a really smart agent, but when you connect that to the rest of the system, as you'll see a little bit later, it really comes to life. It's really cool.
But wait, there's more. We have a hat trick of graphics agents. So Jan, over to you.
Yeah, indeed, it's not finished yet. One of the graphics agents we did, or actually Highfield AI did them themselves, they have a tool available, and that's now an agent in the end that's capable of, you give it context and it starts searching for the correct templates to use on air. For example, you need a lower third, it will know from the context of the rundown, for example, that it needs to pull up a certain template to create a lower third. Also, it will search for the correct context in it, content I mean. If you want to have like a graphic in it, they also have the background to pull in the correct graphics with that. So basically, they can create a full graphics package for you that goes with the rundown at that moment in time. It was really a great tool and agent to see working.
Graphics agents too.
There are so many interesting trends behind this agent. This was developed by NBC Universal and it sits on top of their in-house graphics control layer called Sync. Through that application, they already had a really nice customizable tool for managing template graphics and combining them with live data. What the agent has added to that is a new UI with intelligent assistance. So it bridges further into editorial assistance. It now helps producers identify and surface the right story, not just automating the task.
Exactly. And last but not least,
Last but not least, graphics agent number 3. This graphics agent, developed in the BBC, was an agent where we fed the agent example graphics from a particular BBC brand. The agent could then generate different graphics from the examples that had been given. So feed it a full frame trail board and it can generate a name strap in the right style. This agent could also watch live output, figure out what was going on and animate the graphics relevant to the output. So for example, watch the output, see it's David Attenborough, which I think might be in the clip above me, and name him, name this person, CG of David Attenborough would come on, tell me his job, his designation would appear.
and by the way, this tiny little head here, that's not David Attenborough. That's for the younger self.
The legend is Ben.
The legend has been our colleague at the BBC. So what happens when we put all these agents together? We've got an orchestrator. We call this the agent of agents.
Yeah.
The mothership of all agents. That's it. There's no one that'll explain this better than you, Brian. Let's go.
So like you've got all of these agents, they're all fantastic, right? But if you were to use your voice to control them and do multiple step tasks, you'd have to speak to everyone individually, and then the human would have to then orchestrate how that all fits together. So we created an orchestrator agent using A2A that would then use the A2A protocol to understand what tools it had available, use voice for accessibility and speed, and then do the tasks that the user wants, in theory.
In theory, it will
Yeah.
just work.
So how this works is the user talks to the orchestrator agent using voice. The orchestrator agent figures out what it is that the user wants, and the orchestrator agent knows which agents it has available. It points that request or that question or whatever the user wanted it to do to the right agent, asks it using natural language to perform the task. That agent will respond. There might be a bit of chatter between the two. The orchestrator might come back to the user for more information, and in this way the task will be performed. So a good example of this would be the user realizes there is a clip on air where there's no CG. Says to the orchestrator, name this person. The orchestrator goes to the Sophie agent in a BBC world, says, the Sophie agent responds, there's no clip in the running order. Orchestrator could then go to BBC graphics agent, which could then figure out who is on air, generate the CG.
And I know we're going to touch on this, but just remember, when Morag's talking about this calls that, we're not coding. It is the model understanding what it has available and what the user is asking. We didn't code that. The Gemini Live Flash model understands the context in which it's in, and it's orchestrating that.
It's one of the most magical things about when you start to play with it, that it does things that we didn't build it to do, right? We discover what it can do almost by saying, well, let's try, it should be able to do this, let's just ask it and see what happens. It's really cool.
And remember, you were not building a product.
No. The amount of times we said we're not building a product, and the
If
team...
you had a pound, Justin, for every time you
Yeah,
said
I could
that.
retire, for sure. But there's a good reason for that, right?
Yeah, and Jan, I think I'd love for you to drive this one.
Yeah, we're thinking we're not building a product, but in the end, some of us actually did. And yeah, you see the brands over here, so a lot of them already have a product available, an agent available. We are planning also doing something similar with the technology we found out. So it's really great achievements that we got done over there. But yeah, you can even zoom out from this and start thinking to the broader picture if you think of it.
Yeah, so this next slide, Mickey, that will animate on. So we have.
We need a word from Justin on this one.
Oh, that's right. Let's go.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, we gotta animate.
So this, we haven't built the rest of this, but we wanted to put this up just to invite you to consider the potential for this across the organisation, because the core, we're not describing here a fixed product with an idea. We're trying to introduce a capability, and the core capability of being able to bridge across systems also works across domains, right? So if you imagine, yes, we built this in the control room, but if you could hook in your rostering system, your finance system, any other tooling around your organization, every time we add a new sort of node to the system, everything else gets smarter. So would it be useful for your routing system to be able to know what's happening in finance, or for your planning system to be able to influence what's happening in your running order? This could be the framework that breaks down all of those barriers.
UI and UX.
Yeah.
So we realised immediately the agents were going to be generating so much data that we were at risk of overwhelming the user and making the system useless effectively. We're trying to help them in galleries, not give them more to deal with, more cognitive load. So this front-end and activity agent was a collaboration between BBC and Amira Labs. And what this looked at was, how do we present the information in a really clear way to the user? What we landed on was a social media type feed where the data that the agents are generating is prioritized for the user. Now, how do you prioritize that in live TV, where context, timing, what's going on, everything of that and that changes minute to minute. The priorities change, or second by second in live TV. So how do we do that? With more AI. The activity agent is what we built out to look after this. So the activity agent understood live TV, understood the running order, and could figure out, based on what was going on and what was happening next, and just with its understanding of live TV, is it important that the clip is missing? No, it's not, because it isn't played for the next 10 minutes. Oh yes, it is, because that's just been dragged up the running order, and we presented all that through their really clear UI.
Exactly, and just a little shout out to Amira Labs, who actually was originally applied to propose a project, and we realized it didn't quite fit in at the time, but really fit in with this project. So we welcome Amira Labs as a new participant. But ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. So yeah, and I think before we we will be doing some demos, but before we get into that, let's talk about this multi-agent workflow quite swiftly as we gear up to the live demo.
Indeed, because before we show you the actual stuff at work, one of the things we started trying with and playing with was Posture. That's an internal product ITN is using. It's basically a tool they use to check facts and is everything correct, what is probably going into the broadcast. So in this demo, in this example, the rundown, the director or someone might ask, hey, is whatever thing is in the rundown, is this factually correct? So what would happen, and if you click it, you will see some animation going, so you would ask, hey, is this thing in the rundown, is this correct? It will start checking that with posture and giving information back to the orchestrator agent, and then you can decide, do I want to put that into the rundown? So that was one way of making 3 different things work together, and that actually happened, and we have some video to show that.
We built an orchestrator agent and told it how to run our agentic system.
Connect to the IBC C4 News episode.
The orchestrator is controlled through natural language, including voice, maximizing speed and accessibility.
Please look for all graphic L3 blocks and check for spelling mistakes in the text.
For this task, the orchestrator fetches data from the running order agent and passes it to the checking agent.
Now wait.
Using the feedback from the checking agent, the orchestrator can now go back to the user, in this case displaying the errors it found and offering to fix them.
Correct them for me.
The orchestrator then tells the running order agent how to patch the mistakes. We see the agents working together to make the fixes in real time, to get the right information to air quickly.
And they've changed.
Okay, thank you, Lee. I'm not saying please or thank you, but you know, ultimately, it kind of worked.
Yeah.
It absolutely worked.
It worked. It worked. So
It worked, and just to be clear, it worked with 0 integration. That is
Zero code, just
and-
using the protocol.
yes,
Just using the A2A protocol.
yes.
Normally
Then we got confident to try something a bit harder.
Well, I think you said it in a half flippant thing, and then we just tried to see would it work. Yes, this one's a little bit more. So basically, this time the orchestrator goes to the running agent, and it's going to ask, are there any missing video assets? And then the director can say, oh yeah, there is. Find me some clips. Okay, clips are come back. The director then spots the change that needs happening, asks some faces to be blurred out, and that comes back to the orchestrator, who then sends that blurred out video right back to the running order.
Here we go.
We wanted to see if the orchestrator could communicate with a range of agents to complete a task.
Could you check IBC C4 episode for any clip blocks that are missing video assets?
The orchestrator now asks the rundown agent to identify any missing clips in the program and alerts the user.
Could you suggest a video for that?
The orchestrator now requests the presenter script from the running order and passes it onto the content discovery agent with the request for a clip. The content discovery agent generates the clip for the user to review.
There's some faces in that. Can you blur them?
The orchestrator can also talk to the video enhancer agent.
Let's see what can be blurring.
The orchestrator hears this new request and understands that it should pass the clip over to the video enhancer agent, telling it how to manipulate the video, in this case, to blur a face.
Wow, that's amazing. Could you add that video to the item?
The orchestrator then gets the newly created video and adds it back to the running order for playout in today's program. Agents communicating with other agents. Our full agentic system collaborating to get content to air.
QR shot. Russia's largest drone attack on Ukraine hits the main government building in Kyiv for the first time, as it seems Putin is in no mood for peace.
So it worked.
Yeah, we need a round
In the
of applause.
gallery. A gallery demo. In person. But ladies and gentlemen, we don't stop there at Team AI Agents. We're going to prove it with a live demo.
Yeah, we didn't want it
Yes.
to be, let me just log in.
Google can walk the walk and talk the talk.
No, don't reload. Okay, right, there we go. So, may the demo gods be with me. Doing this at a conference is a good idea.
Yes, look at all the phones go up, Justin, no pressure.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got my little clicky here. Hang on, let's do this again. So you don't have to see me do the thingy. We're not going to use voice because of where we are and how noisy it can be. So now, let's going to go off to the rundown agent. You can see it here. You can see the calls here. It's going to ask, find me all the clip blocks, and you can see we have a missing clip block here. So I'm now going to take next one. I'm going to ask it, can you find me a clip for that? Now there'll be a little bit of a wait. This is where I got impatient and said, "Are we going to do something about the latency, John?"
So should we fill it? Should we fill time?
But John was like,
What happens
"No,
to
I don't
latency, John?"
understand how much time you've just saved."
But do you know what this is doing at this point?
Yeah, it's going off to the Moments Lab agent, and Moments Lab is hopefully going to bring me the clip. They'll bring me lots of clips, but hopefully it's the clip I want.
And the thing to remember, Justin, is yes, there is latency here, but compared to manual workflows, this is nothing.
Okay, that is the right clip, so we're doing well. Let's go. Can you blur out the faces, please? Off we go. There you see on the right-hand side in telemetry, it's now going off to EVS's agent, and it's going to it's asking in natural language, using the protocol, to go complete this task for me. It's going to do its thing. I'm going to queue up the next prompt. I'm not going to do that now.
Okay.
There we go. I'm going to take that, stack this. Okay, so it's blurred out the face. Should we see if it's there?
See if
So there's a blurred out face. And then I'm just going to hit return here. And now it's going to go back into the running order. And there you see, the video is now back in. And that's how long was that? About 2 minutes.
You did good. You did good.
2 minutes.
Justin Grayson!
the amount of meetings about whether or not to arrive.
Well, we did risk do a lot. It's just a tech show.
But
We told them.
just to be really ram home that point, that is
Yeah.
3 different vendor systems with no awareness of each other, no API integration, no defined workflow. We didn't tell it to do that.
No.
Each vendor has built an agent that exposes their systems to the mesh, and then using reasoning, the agent can leverage all of them.
Yeah, and the really important point, and I know we're about to comment on learnings, but the really important, and I don't know if you noticed the prompts and you heard what Lee was saying on the video, you don't need to lead it. You don't need, I didn't say, oh, you know, you need to get this video, full title. It knew that the video that it just processed, when I said, now add that to the running order, it understood the workflow. And again, with no code, I didn't hard code that. That is the Gemini Live Flash model doing its thing. And you know, we all had a complete when we did that, because you flippantly said, oh, it would be great if you could do this. And then I think half an hour you came back into the room and said, yeah, it works.
What's your John Roberts impression again? So, you know, with these accelerators, when we start to collect the key learnings, we're like, okay, let's start to jot down some notes. They actually start from day one. We start to learn things, and with a project like this, we were learning something every single day. There were breakout calls, again, the Slack channels, the mirror boards, so many new things are happening, and we're grateful to all of our vendors and champions. But what we wanted to do is just kind of pluck out some top line learnings that you guys can have a think about, take away. But remember, all of these materials will be on the IBC website page another week or so. Go to the pod, check them out, ask loads of questions. But you know, getting stuck in here, maybe Jan, starting with you around integration and the ease of integration with something like this, especially, you know, you kind of grown up in this space. So how important was this to you to understand what was happening?
Well, it was really important and really mind-blowing to see what was happening actually. When we do integrations, that's basically the job I do day to day at Cruise, we really have to hard code and get to know another system to make sure it works with us. In this case, we saw basically we didn't need to do that anymore. We just needed to make sure we understood that other system, making sure whatever they had in their agent card, and made our agent talk to us. And like we said, we did 12 agents in like 7 weeks, and within those 7 weeks, it all started to work with our product. So from an integration point of view, this was really, again, mind-blowing. Also, the productivity gains that came from this, like John was saying, whenever he needs to do that in like at Channel 4 News, for example, the same process could take like an hour or 4 with 5 people needing to do manual stuff everywhere. This system, without any previous integration, did it in about
Yeah, I mean,
minutes.
just imagine if you had to get 3 different products with 3 different REST APIs, sit a developer down and say, now make this thing work. How much code, how much learning, how much... That's how we've been doing things for the past, 10, 15 years.
We were actually, it's like, the metaphor was a restaurant, where it's like,
It's worth saying on that point that also when one of those systems changes, you then need to do all that again. Whereas here, the agents can update themselves live.
If one of the vendors we work with renews its API with new functions, updates it in a certain way, we need to redo our homework again. With this, if they adjust their agent card, basically, it still works.
Yeah, what I was really excited about was the fact that we really gave the agents minimal instructions in terms of telling them what to do. They straight out of the box, they understood concepts about TV that last year we'd really had to teach them. And they immediately understood tasks as well. We really didn't have to do very much work to encourage them to perform the tasks we wanted them to do.
Exactly, and you know, we talk about cutting edge. This is bleeding edge. This is bleeding so much. And I asked our team here can you pick one takeaway? And John, I think we have so many, but it is not product building.
Yeah, I'll go with that one. That this isn't, and it's really important to say that one of the joys of Accelerator, and this is why this is so perfect for the Accelerator, is that that we've had a lot of fun getting to play with this, but we're not constrained by having to build a product, right? So there are a million other problems to solve before this could become a product. And we're not constrained by that. We're just, and what we're hoping to show you today is what we get to do, which is to try and surface the capability, like surface the use case. Does this feel like it really delivers value? For us, that feels like a big tick on at least 2 fronts. And then share what that looks like and see where we go with that. So so we haven't built a product. It's not on a stand. What I will say is all the agents you've seen work. And you can go and see those on.
They're all at involved, yes.
And the code for the orchestrator, good, bad, and ugly, is in open source, right?
Yes. And we're talking bleeding edge. What color is the blood, Justin?
Well, it is. I mean, in one of our hackathons, we had this problem where we tried to get 2 agents talking to each other, like a very simple incarnation of the orchestrator.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. And then Jorge, who's on my team, who's helping us out, they all figured out actually it was because one agent was using one version of A2A, which was really only, and the other one was the other, so they couldn't work together.
Yeah.
And actually, what we decided, I think it was in July, it's moving so fast that we will never finish the accelerator if we try and keep up. So we've actually pinned this onto 0.2.16, and it's on 0.3 something out, maybe 0.4. But we've had to pin that so that we could all work together. But this is really bleeding edge. But what the impact of what you can do with all industries, if you like, this is a proof of concept. When A2A is stable and it has a contract in version 1, I'm super excited to see what happens and see what people can do.
So many opportunities, and we said there were so many opportunities of the reams and reams of notes. Some really good key takeaways here, Mark. Before we got started, we know that these agents are going to revolutionize UI, the user interface, what that would look like for integration, but UI first.
Yeah, I mean, what we're really looking at now is intelligent UI, where the UI is itself a collaborator in terms of making the program, where we can bring together disparate tool sets under one UI, where the user can shape how that UI looks and feels and responds. And of course, that's excellent for accessibility as well. So really looking at a new approach to how humans in our TV galleries interact with technology, I think.
And we sort of knew from what we'd seen last year that the UI is a place where we could make a really big difference and that would really count for us. But then the second section here, so we've got sort of UI to AI, but then this journey of GPIs to APIs now to AI, this integration piece for me feels like the absolute game changer, that fundamentally we're looking at a very different way of integrating systems that is easier and better, right? Which is a nice combination. Getting to task-based task-based systems, not workflows. So we can just task agents to go and do things for us. We haven't even scratched the surface for how you could use that, I think, and that's what feels so extraordinary about it.
Yeah, Justin, did you want to other opportunities kind of come up? Because obviously you're at Google, things are happening every single day at rapid pace.
Yeah, no, I don't just look after media and entertainment in my day job. I have a very broad spectrum of verticals, and this is applicable across all of them. I have one particular customer that's already used ADK to create a digital version, just as in a test. What does a digital agentic version of their business model look like? You know, super early, and you know, it's not perfect. I'll say it really isn't perfect. Hence why I was like, I'll do a live demo. But you know, there are things going on. But as things mature, which will happen very, very fast, you know, it's such an exciting opportunity to really see how we can change things. And what really stuck with me is, I remember back at January, or when we were talking about it, and I did a proof of concept with Gemini that you did with ChatGPT, and we could see the latency was gone, right? But I was still saying, go to Q next item. That's my director voice. I'm working on it. But like we always said, well, Q next item's not really that valuable because the director's doing this and doing all that, and they do it all. And I went to the BBC, I went to ITN, I saw the directors at work, and I was like, how do we find the valuable things? And this agentic system naturally found the things that actually can be helpful in the control room, and that could be applied to many, many scenarios. But I think, you know, that really was, you know, really good learning that works, and you can find the tasks that bring value.
Yeah, and just like I want, while we got some breathing space here around the system's capability to grow, to scale exponentially as the agentic network grows. This is so important because I would love, let's just kind of...
I'll give you my favourite example of that, and it's not an agent that we've shown here, but it does exist. So if imagine we've, as you've seen, we've already got a running order agent, and we've got, say, a graphics agent. The graphics agent can find